It's day 11 of Parents Awakening series. Growing up, some of us grew up with parents that were always spanking us at every little thing that we did. And we felt that was the only tool to discipline children. Some it was punishment. You remember carrying some things, kneeling down and carrying heavy things, or just disgracing you in front of other people intentionally. Of course, it's what our parents knew that our parents did. And I also know that some of us, when we were growing up, we were thinking that's the only tool. So when I become a parent, I'm going to use the same tool for my children. The world has changed. And I have lots of colleagues that have no spanking policy. And why do they say do not spank? They see what spanking has done to children. And they also see that most adults spank out of their emotions. When they can't control their emotions, that's when they just spank children. So you can't relate what the child has done to the kind of spanking the child has gotten. A 2-year-old child has just spilled water and is seriously spanked. Look at that. Why is that child spanked? Sometimes the parents have just received a bill or a bad news. And who gets it? Who gets that displacement? Unfortunately, it's our children. So when our colleagues say don't spank, they're trying to introduce us to other tools to use that are more effective than spanking. Personally, I spank my princess maybe 3 times a year, such that we both know that this particular thing is spanking. We have decided to take it out. And my princes even beg me to spank them because they don't like the consequences I give. So they just say, just spank. I said, no, I'm not spanking. Because when I spank you, you just forget and move on. But when I give a consequence, it reminds you next time that, no, if I do this thing, I get this thing. My name is Blessing Oladimeji. And today we'll be sharing on discipline. A lot of parents feel disempowered when you say, do not spank. But discipline does not mean punishment. It does not mean spanking. The root word of discipline is disciple. And what does this mean? This means student. Discipline means to teach, to train, to correct, to educate a child. It is positive and would always produce life lessons for our children. Life lessons such as responsibility, accountability, even thoughtfulness. It makes our children thoughtful. These are the kind of things that discipline can actually produce in our children. It produces obedience also. They find it easy to obey rules that have been set anywhere they find themselves in the world. But what does punishment do? Punishment is negative because it has different things that it does to our children. There are hours, let me say there are 3 or 4 hours of what punishment does to children. And that's why I said punishment can be negative. Punishment can make a child rebellious. And a child feels that, okay, they have done this to me. Oh my goodness, I am going to show them by doing the exact opposite of what they want me to do. Punishment also makes our children resentful. There's this resentment they have towards the parents. So a child is carrying something heavy and crying for hours. That child feels like, I hate my parents. I hate them. I do not like them. Punishment also makes our children revenge. They decide to do something worse to disgrace their parents. So sometimes our children misbehave intentionally to disgrace us. They know that you will be very upset when you hear they've done a certain thing at school. And punishment also makes children retreat. They plan. They strategize. What can I do next time so that I am not caught? So this is why we don't push punishment to parents and we encourage positive discipline. Positive discipline should be reasonable. Reasonable in that you're checking with the age of the child. Like I gave the example of a 2-year-old just pouring water. Some children just do things because they are children. So when you're going to discipline a child that has done something like that, you can say you clean up when you are done. Or when you do this, let's clean together. Or you monitor the water, you monitor them next time. So discipline helps when it's reasonable. You tell the child, do you know what you have done? It has to be age appropriate. Whatever discipline you want to give the child, the age of the child must be considered. Discipline needs to be realistic. When you want to give your child discipline, it has to be realistic. You have to know that you can't just tell your child, you won't watch the television again. What is that? Is it possible? So don't say things that you cannot enforce. Don't say things that you can't do. Things that you can't follow through on. So it must be realistic. The child must see it that it ties up. And discipline must also be related. It must be related to the behavior of the child. You know, we have natural and we have logical consequences. So when we have natural consequences, most of the time, it should be tied to the wrong behavior of that child. So the child can learn something from it. So one of my princes said, so I had given an instruction that they wash their plates after eating. And I observed that one of them wasn't washing his plates. And I called him because I always believe in asking children, why are you doing this thing? I don't want to assume because I want to believe we're not thinking the same way. And I called this boy. I said, come, I've observed you've not been washing your plates after you eat. And I said everyone should wash. And he said, Mom, you know why? When I finish eating, I don't just feel like getting my hands wet. I don't feel like doing it. I said, no problem. I will make you feel like doing it. So I called his brothers and I told them, I said, for 2 days, when you guys finish eating, he's going to wash your plates after eating with his own plates. After the second day, my priest came to meet me and said, Mom, I now feel like washing only my plates after eating. I said, beautiful. Now that's it. You get it now. So when you give your children consequence, it must be related to the behavior. Your child did not give you a consent form to sign so they could go for an excursion. A natural consequence and logical consequence in that situation is that that child is going to miss the excursion. Don't even try to sign it for that child or go to school to beg. The child will always remember that next time when I'm giving a consent form, I have to deliver to my parents. I trust that we have learned something today and we can see that we should embrace discipline. It's not disgracing a child. It doesn't make you weak as a parent. There are many, many tools to use. And discipline, if used in the right way, with natural consequences, logical consequences, our children will change. Of course, we want change. So it's change that we want. So let's focus on what we want. Thank you for listening. Remember to share this video and most importantly, apply it. Try it in your home. I do it. It works for me. I don't shout. I don't make noise. The children already know the consequences of things. And that's just how we roll. I remain blessed in Oladimeji. Thank you for watching. Bye.